Hello, hello. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And this is episode 10. Double digits, baby. I'm excited. This week we are kicking off the last published book in this series, A Court of Silver Flames.
So
today
bittersweet.
is part 1. Well, it's less bitter now that we know that she is writing another one.
That's true. And honestly, less bitter for mostly you because you still have... Did you read Crescent City?
No, I have
You've
the
got
rest
10
of her
books still. 10 large books.
I know.
You.
You haven't read Crescent City either.
No, but I only have 2 now. Not 10. My time with her is almost to an end until she comes out with her new books.
Yeah, she'll never... Well, Lord willing, she'll never stop writing books.
Lord willing.
The Maas universe will live on. But yes, I'm excited.
Hope so.
I'm excited to get into that. And before we really jump into anything, and before we do any opening questions, I have a statement that I need to make. Because a few episodes ago, I don't remember which one exactly, I made an outlandish comment that I need to rescind because I said that I was currently reading a book series that I thought I might actually like more than the ACOTAR series. And let me clarify that at the time, at the part of the series that I was in, I meant it. It was so, so good. I loved it. But then I read the 4th book in the For Blood and Ash series, and I got so angry. It was absolutely ruined for me. And now I'm like mad thinking about it. Like it's not going to ruin it for everyone. In my opinion, it totally ruins it. But I just need to take back what I said because I should have known that nothing would compare to ACOTAR.
I feel like we shouldn't make those statements until we're done with series.
I need to stop recommending series to people before reading them. I need to stop talking about them before I finish them.
Yeah.
That's just... Anyway, so I'm just saying that here because
you lived, you learned, and you've grown.
I live, learn, grow. That's right.
Now we laugh.
And now we laugh. I just need to clarify because I not only don't like that series more than A Court of Thorns and Roses, but I will no longer be recommending it either. So
I really like to that point of just like you're done.
Absolutely. We can still talk about it on our podcast at some point if anyone wants us to. But like I have very strong feelings when it comes to that book. And
I feel like we should talk about it because I'm dying to know your strong feelings.
I have a feeling that a lot of people agree with me strictly because there's 5 books in this series that are published. The 6th one comes out in February of 2024. But of the 5 books on Goodreads, the first 3 have like, I don't know, like anywhere between like 30 and 40,000 reviews. Where there? See, now you see it. Okay, I don't know what that is.
What the heck?
For those just listening, I don't know what the heck is going on. A few episodes ago, I said something or did a motion and these like confetti came out of nowhere. Just now, I accidentally made a thumbs up and there was like a thumbs up on the screen. I don't know. Anyways, there's the first 4 have like 30 to 40,000 reviews and most of them are 5 stars. And this 5th book, it only has like 10,000 reviews, not even 10,000 reviews. I think people like so many, like my guess is that they just stopped reading it.
People probably told them to stop. Yeah.
Well, that's all I'm saying is that's why I'm assuming that I'm not the only one that stopped liking the series after that book. So I am reading the 5th one still because I've committed so much time to it. And the 5th one is redeeming it a little bit so far. I'm not done with it.
Oh, that's good.
I really
am so curious how like devastating that 4th book was and like what happened to make you completely derail and just be like, this is the worst thing I've ever read.
If you're legitimately planning on reading it, I'm not gonna say anything. But if you're not gonna read it, like I suggested,
on it.
Then
you can't talk me out of this. What does Michael Scott say? I've had this dream for 3 days and there's no way I can let go of it now.
That's true. All right. Also, caveat, Ellie is sick. So
I am sick. Yeah. So our opening question was, "What'd you do this weekend? How you doing?" And I was gonna say I've been sick all weekend,
yeah.
fevering. It's horrible. I've not been this sick in so long. But in the midst of my on my deathbed, one of my closest friends, texts me in a group chat with myself and both of our husbands and says like, "Hey, guess what I just did yesterday?" Or like, "Guess what happened yesterday?" And we were like, "What?" And she sends a picture of her holding a baby. And
Didn't
my
she send
husband,
something first though? Was like, hey, yesterday was
it's
like
not
a
relevant
full
to the
moon or something.
conversation. No, she
Also,
was talking about her husband's like golf tournament. And
oh
so then
yeah.
she's like, "Oh yeah." So my husband says, "You had a baby?" And like, it's obviously he's being sarcastic. She's like, "I did." And so I'm again on my deathbed looking at this text thinking, "It's so dumb. Like, what a dumb joke. Why text that?" And so then I put my phone down, went back to sleep. I wake up again and I looked at it and I was like, all right, I don't know what possessed me to be like, I just really want to rub it in her face that I know this is fake. So I started zooming in on receipts that were in the picture, as you do. And
As
I
one
was
does.
I was gonna be like, "See, this is from like your first child. It was back in 2021. Like, you can't pull a fast one on me." Except when I zoomed in on the receipt, 10/19/2023. And I was like, "Okay, well then like you were in the hospital for another reason and like somebody brought their brand new baby because this doesn't make
That
any
seems
sense."
less likely to me.
I No, it could not seem
Well,
less
that's true.
likely. Are you kidding?
You didn't know she
So
was
then,
pregnant. That's true.
and you actually don't even know the full story. I forgot to update you. So then she sent another picture of the baby in the bin, and I zoom in on the sticker, and it's literally their last name, 10/19/2023. Welcome to the world, this brand new baby. I was like, "You're like, no." So then we share locations. I checked her location in the hospital. What's happening? I was like, "There's no way you've been pregnant for 9 months and never told me." And she says, like, "Sweatshirts hide a lot." We were the one and only people that they were telling everyone in person that they were pregnant. We saw them in person when she was 7 months pregnant. Because I thought like, "Oh, maybe it's been a while since." No, it was 7 months. She just wore a big sweater and thought, "This would actually be so funny if we didn't tell them and then just were like, 'Hey, we had another baby.'"
And you just
Which,
got ronded.
yeah, I was like, "This is some new girl Winston prank. Winston and Rhonda prank." I was like, I literally text her back, "Did I just get Rhonda'd? Too big. Too big of a prank."
Yeah, too much. This was
I
too
know.
much.
So, all that to say, one of my closest friends had a baby this weekend.
That's exciting. Oh, I
Yeah.
guess I also I nothing happened. My sister-in-law had a baby. I now have a new nephew.
Oh, nice.
Same day.
Did she
That
tell you
was
that she was pregnant?
yes, I did know that she was pregnant.
As one does, as one should
As
do.
well, I guess we're family, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
Maybe if we were just close friends, I wouldn't. No, I'm just kidding.
That's just the most outrageous thing anyone has
I
ever
know.
done. And she said, like, "I knew I could not do this with literally anyone else because I feel like that'd be really hurtful to them." She's like, "But I thought I can do this with you and you would think it was funny." And I did. I seriously thought that was the funniest thing anybody has ever done in my entire life is keep an entire pregnancy from me and then be like, "I have a baby."
If we have another baby, I'm gonna do that to
Don't
you,
do
and
that.
it's
I
gonna be
can't
so
handle this
easy since we don't
twice.
live in the
I
same
can't
state.
handle this twice.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm excited to jump into this book.
Yeah.
This week we're doing chapters 21. Oh, starting at 1. Starting at 1. 1 through 24. And actually the layout of this book helps us a lot. There's part 1, 2, and 3 of the book, so each episode's going to be part 1, part 2, part 3. So that
Awesome.
works in case you're listening ahead and you are going to read ahead for next week. Yeah, just diving right in. Ellie, are you ready?
I am.
All right. In the beginning of this book, Cassian goes to get Nesta to bring her back to the river house for a family meeting. After what she did to him the night of the winter solstice, if you were Cassian, would you have gone to get her?
Absolutely not.
I would not
People
have
have
either.
done much less to me that have been like, "Goodbye forever. No, I don't need you in my life at all."
I'm not
I could
not
never.
quite the same for me, but I don't know. I guess I hold grudges a little bit because I wouldn't want anything to do with her at that point if she was so in my face rude the way she was.
Well, that's the thing is I don't even know if that would even be a grudge for me as much as it's like you've repeated yourself multiple times in being the
Yeah.
rudest person I could have ever possibly met. I don't need that. Bye. You
However,
threw my gift into the water. If anyone threw a gift that I gave them and I said, like, I've been looking for this
for
forever for you
months,
and I
yeah.
found it, and they were like, no.
That's true. But we're not taking into consideration she might have done that, but she also saved his life at the end of the third book and then shielded him when she thought that they were both about to die from the
Okay,
king
but
before
like,
Elaine.
I think I adopt like a sales management mindset in this. You're only as good as your last sale. I
Oh
don't
my
care.
goodness.
You're only as good as your last, like,
I mean, I'm telling you right now, I still wouldn't, but I wouldn't mostly out of probably like anger, but mostly embarrassment, I think too.
yeah.
Like,
That it would really
um,
hit the pride
pride,
if
yeah.
you were like, "Hey, I went out of my way to do something nice for you," and they freaking threw it in the water. I can't get over that. That's so
I
funny
know.
and terrible.
I know. Honestly, that was
It's
savage. I
next
hate
level.
like I don't use that word lightly. That was savage that she did
Yeah.
that. All right, well, with that then, have you ever been burned so badly that you could get over it?
Mm, you go first because I need some mental stimulation.
Okay. Um Gosh, I don't know. The only thing, at least off the top of my head, the only thing I probably should have had something a little bit more prepared, but I can think of at least is like high school, like petty high school stuff.
You've had a good life if
Um,
for the past 10 years no one's burned you. I kind of feel the same though.
I think
Like,
it has less to do with that and more to do with my shoddy memory.
that's me. But also, like, yes and no, because I feel like if someone really wronged you, you'd remember in the past 10 years, like within the past 10 years.
Yeah.
But I definitely was more petty in high school as well. So, and
I think
those
I was
just
just more
seemed like
petty.
end of the world crimes done
Yeah.
against me if someone stole a boyfriend or whatever.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And I think yeah, now, not that I'm like so much more mature and wiser, but I hope maybe a little bit. I think
Yeah.
the things that bothered me in high school bothered me so much. And now I just am like, in the grand, I've lived a little bit more life. So I'm like, this actually doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah. On that note, I do remember, like, genuinely, this is going to sound so, like, petty and dumb and funny, but I have been burned so bad within the past 3 years that I, like, went outside and cried for a little while. I'll tell you about it. Yeah, you should feel bad for me. And remember that feeling after I finish the story because you're going to be like, you are so dumb.
All right, keep
One
going.
day we made shrimp fettuccine Alfredo at home
Oh
and
no.
it was so delicious. Wait, I have two stories now. I told you I just needed the little push.
Little
It was so delicious. And so the next day, I was like, oh, I'm going to eat this for dinner too. I'm not even going to bring it as a work lunch. I'm going to save and come home and have something to look forward to. And there was so
if
much of
you
it left.
tell me that Grant ate it before you came home and that is why you went outside and cried, I'm going to
Well,
lose my mind.
I have to caveat, not caveat, I don't know if proceed is the right word, but prior to coming home, I had like the worst day at work. And like genuinely everything was going wrong. The spreadsheets weren't spreadsheeting, the math wasn't mathing. I was so angry. Like people were driving me nuts, like just dumb questions where I was having to do more work than normal because people couldn't possibly lift their own weight. And so then
Yeah.
I'm coming home. I'm stuck in an hour and a half of traffic, which it normally takes me like 35, 40 minutes to get home. So that was outlandish traffic. It was horrible. I pretty sure I like fell getting out of the car. It was a bad day. But I had fettuccine alfredo to pick me
On the
up.
mind.
I came in, went straight for the fridge, gone. The whole pot gone. Grant decided, what a beautiful day to eat a pot of fettuccine alfredo. And so I went
You're right.
outside and I
This
cried
was
a
dumb.
little.
Oh
And
man.
this one wasn't so much like that he burned me, but in a way, wasn't it? Um, I made a beautiful medley of sliced vegetables. So, like
A lot of these,
peppers.
since food seems to be the general
Food is
theme.
like a big part of my heart. I made this beautiful medley of vegetables, and I was going to put them in the cast iron skillet and like
Mhm.
you know grill them up. It was gonna be great. Grant's like, "Hey, I saw this recipe. I would love to try," and I was like, "No, like these are too good of vegetables for you to mess up. No, 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 baby, trust me." Okay, tell me why he dumps red wine vinegar all over my vegetables. My sickness is making this story so much funnier. And so I was so angry. I was like, you just ruined like 5 peppers and onion, all that. You just ruined everything. And he's like, well, just try it. I'm sure it's not that bad. I gagged. Then the true horror of this story is not the first time that he did that, but the second time when again he said, no, 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 just trust me, I would never do that again. And I don't know if he was being funny or he wasn't being funny. He just forgot that he did that, I think, and did it again. Dumped like freaking a cup of red wine vinegar all over these vegetables.
Is he following a recipe? Does a recipe call for a cup of it,
No,
or is
no
oh?
recipe would ever call for that much red
That's
wine
why I was
vinegar on
like, this isn't
vegetables.
really on him if this is a bad
No,
recipe.
it's on him. So that's that on that.
So that's that on that. All right. Um yeah, I still can't think of anything. Like I Zeke throws my food away a lot, like from the fridge.
Yeah, the milkshake story. I can't
Milkshake. Why don't
believe
I
you
remember
forgetting
that?
because that burned me from over here. It's when he took out your milkshake and said, "Do you want this?"
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh yeah. Okay, so let me set the scene here. Um we I have a newborn like not long after having a baby. So I'm like in bed. He was nice, he's super nice, and picked up a milkshake coming home from whatever he was doing because I really wanted one. So that was the really nice part, and that's where the really nice parts of this end. Um, because he put it in the fridge, or I don't remember. He did something with it, and then I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna," or he was like, "Do you want this now?" And I was like, "No, you can put it back." And he goes, "Okay, I will." And then I'm with the baby, and I'm like occupied for a while, and I came out into the kitchen after she was finally asleep, and he did not move it. And so instead of having a milkshake, I had chocolate drink because it was completely melted. And
Idiot.
I was so disappointed. It's just that, like, I guess, yeah, that feeling of when you're so looking forward to something and then it's just
Yeah.
not, at least for me, like, it wasn't the same, but at least I still had something. It's not like it was gone. It's not like he ate it or anything.
I'm sorry. To me, that's gone. Did you drink warm
No, I think
chocolate
I might have
drink?
tried here. Oh, gosh, my memory is terrible. I don't even remember. I might have tried to refreeze it, but it's never the same.
Ugh, again, I say I can't believe you forgot that because when you told me that, I was like, Grant would be dead to me. That's outrageous.
All right. So Cassian gets her, brings her to the house. While they're at the house, this is when they have their intervention, talking to him about or Nesta being like, you need to stop living your life the way that you're
Mm-hmm.
living it. And they're like, in order to do that, we're not paying your rent anymore, and you are gonna have to go live at the House of Wind, and you're gonna have to train with Cassian every morning and work in the library in the afternoons every day, and that's it. You're essentially house arrest outside of those two things.
Would you be upset with that punishment? Like,
Well, yeah, so that's my next question. What did you think of that routine that they had, like the training with Cassian in the mornings and then working in the libraries in the evening?
so on one hand, I was like, wow, well, I got punished bad as a kid. So to me, I'm like, wow, some punishment. That's pretty much freedom. But
I mean, not really, considering that she had nothing to do before this.
exactly. And I was like, but as an adult, and also like that, I wouldn't want to do that. That's like free labor, but also not free because she's still getting paid. So I don't know.
She's not getting paid.
I mean, but Pharaoh, they were paying for her like
Oh yeah, she
food
just wasn't
and
touching it,
things.
right? Well, I mean, they were paying for her rent, and I guess she had
Yeah.
like an allowance,
Yeah.
but that's also not a very adult thing to have either.
No.
So
Oh my god.
I don't
Her
know.
choices are
I
not very adult.
initially I thought this was like, I understand the intervention and like wanting to get her help, but like thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know how else they, other than like sending her to rehab, which it seems too real world to put in a fantasy book. Like,
Polaris
I don't know how
rehab.
else they would have gotten her to stop. But initially, I remember like when I was reading this, I was like, that's juvenile. Like,
Mhm.
what are you, okay, making her like volunteer? Like, and I didn't
Yeah,
understand like what the training had to do anything. Like,
I
okay,
know.
work out. Like, I don't,
Well,
okay.
honestly, more to me, I understood the training more than working in the library. I was like, that's
See,
so random.
I get like they're just trying to keep her busy. So to me,
Mhm.
working in the library made more sense because I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, that's keeping her busy for, and
sure.
that's also, I mean, I don't remember the exact time, but I want to say it was for like from like noon to 6 or something.
Mhm.
Like it was a good portion of the day that
Yeah,
she was doing that, and then it was just 2 hours or 1 hour of training in the morning,
sure.
and then eventually they start doing two. But like it was just a
No,
very short
the training made sense to me because I was like if I was in that mind space? Yeah,
headspace,
mindset. That's the
mindset,
one.
headspace.
Literary analysis. If I was in that mindset and I no, it is headspace. And I like couldn't control my powers and also I'm super weak and I'm just an angry person.
Yeah,
Fighting would be very helpful. One to like just kind
yeah.
of gain a control over all of that,
But
but
see, like that to me, that would be something that Nesta, well, I guess she's not in a position or wasn't in a position to like want to better herself, but
Mhm,
using working out or training as like a coping skill, kind of like what you're like recommending or
mhm,
explaining, that feels like a very personal choice. That felt like in to me it would seem like that would be something that Nesta would be like, well, if I do this, this will help me get out of it. It
mhm.
feels weird to for like if it'd be like me going, my sister's depressed and be like, you need to go to the gym for a couple hours a day. Like I
Yeah.
think she'd be like, what? Like I don't know. I agree. Like I know in real life, like working out produces like
Yeah.
serotonin, you know what I mean? Like all the good things for you. And it legitimately does help. But just in this, it felt weird for me initially reading it.
Sure.
Like, but it also felt kind of like an excuse to get her and Cassian alone because obviously, like, that's the
We're
direction
not mad
it's heading.
about that
We're
though.
not mad about that either. That's for sure. Um, all right, so then moving on, Cassian is also then, I don't remember what his official title was. Rhys wants him to be his um like what did he call, what was an emissary?
Emissary? Yeah.
But he's not like the emissary to the human lands, right? I don't remember. But Rhys,
No, that was like Nesta and Elaine.
that's yeah, I don't remember. But I don't remember what his official title was, but Rhys like wants him to help because Azriel's busy doing something.
Mhm.
So he's like, I need you to help me with like figuring out what's going on with the Mortal Queens and like everything that's happening with that.
Mhm.
So in doing that, he meets with Vasa and Lucian and Jurian, and Iris is like happens to be there. And I loved this though, because I loved how little control Cassian had over his temper when
Yeah.
he was meeting with them, because it just
Also,
felt,
we need to just point out Vasa and Jurian and Lucian, that's the freaking island of misfit toys. I
what
hate
did
their
they call
little
themselves
band.
again?
I hate that they called themselves anything. I don't know.
I can't, I have to go look back in the book. I can't remember, but it's, I want to say they like, it was something along the lines of misfits, like
Oh my
the
gosh.
like three lonelies
It makes me
or
like
something.
them less
I
that
know.
they like identified themselves as the little like don't fit outcasts.
Yeah. Because like
Ugh,
the three of them didn't really fit in anywhere. Voss is
yeah.
like half bird. Lucian has no one.
I'm gonna look it up. I want to see
Jurian's
this.
like a human. But also, gosh, I just can't remember. Did it ever explain how, does Jurian just like pick back up where he left off as far as aging? Because he's 100% mortal.
I have no idea. I mean, is he though? Because he was brought back.
But he
as
was never dead, so it wasn't really brought back. He was like his soul was like put in the thing that Amarantha had, and then
yeah,
the king made him back into like a living person.
it's
But
the Band of Exiles is what
there
they
it
call
is.
them.
Thank you.
Ugh,
The band.
Island of Misfits.
Yes. Anyway, so he's meeting with the island or the band of exile
Yeah.
plus Iris. Um, and in that conversation, Vasa does like some kind of foreshadowing about Briallyn, the mortal queen that was put into the cauldron and came out an old lady.
Mhm.
Um, what did you think about that, like foreshadowing wise?
Mm,
Because like how angry she was and all that.
I definitely thought it was going to be a bigger deal than.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess it did kind of end up being a big deal in the end, but I don't know. I was
Honestly,
like, why are we scared of her? Like, you just took out the freaking army of and the cauldron of
well, because she was made too, like Nesta, and they still at this point don't really know what Nesta can do
oh,
because Nesta
that's
refuses to practice.
but like the cauldron is
The
oh,
cauldron
well,
is like,
no, it's good because Nesta still has all her cauldron powers and
mm-hmm.
okay. I don't I just to me it didn't seem like a big threat. I was like, why are we this scared of this person? Like, we don't care. We just defeated all of Hybern's armies and him in the cauldron and like defied all odds. Why are we now scared of one old queen? But I guess
it,
in the light of like, oh, she could have the powers that Nesta had, then maybe, but I didn't
I
think it
don't.
was that big of a deal.
For me, like reading this, I didn't understand because she's mad at Nesta,
Hmm.
like, but I didn't understand why the cauldron punished her when Nesta took something from it. Like, I still don't get it. Like, truthfully, like it felt like a weird workaround way to create another villain in the
Sure.
story. But like I get it. Nesta took something from the cauldron. The cauldron's mad at Nesta. But like, so why is it? That's like
I kind of read
me
it though as like the cauldron isn't that um what's the word for human? Like
mortal.
aware? No.
Wait, human.
Yeah, it starts with an S. Whatever. My sick brain can't do it all.
I have no
But
idea what you're trying to talk
sim,
about.
sim okay.
Okay, stop.
Oh, it's gonna really bug me. But sentient. There it is.
Okay.
So I kind of read it as the cauldron didn't know. Like it's not I'm mad at Nesta. It's more just like I'm angry that my power is gone. However, the argument can be made that because it went after Elaine specifically
Hmm.
in ACOTAR, that like it does know things. But to me, when I first read in the second book that it changed Briallyn to that old lady, I was kind of like, well, yeah, because it's mad that power got drained from it, so it's just going to retaliate on the very next thing that goes in, I guess.
But even that, okay, I see what you're saying. But that's not like the verbiage that was
Hmm.
used. It was because the cauldron was mad that, oh, I guess it was mad that Nesta. I read it as like the cauldron being mad with Nesta, not
Mm,
mad at the situation. But again, that's like, I don't know. To me, it still just kind of felt like
yeah,
a cheap excuse to create another villain. Like the fact that the
sure.
cauldron was mad in general and just punished the next person.
I
That's
think they could
petty.
have made it a lot cheaper, or she could have made it a lot cheaper. Like that
Yeah.
that villain creation did not bother me. I actually didn't even think about it more than just the fact of like, oh, that doesn't seem like a crazy villain. But I think they could have done
Well,
better.
for
I think she could have
her to
done
be
better, but
like
I think she could have done
for
worse.
Briallyn to be as angry as she was
Hmm.
just because she's old. I mean, I guess old forever, but
Old in turn, like, but her whole thing was she was a young queen. She was beautiful,
that's
and then
true.
you literally lose your youth forever, and then be
That's
stuck
true.
as an immortal
Well, if
forever.
we're gonna be technical about it, you lose your loot. You lose. You use your youth. Why can't I say that? You lose your youth forever without being like immortal too. When you get old, you're old. Like it's not. But I see went from like within 30 seconds being old or young to super old. Like that
Yeah,
is different. I don't know. I just I personally wasn't crazy about this origin story of
sure.
Briallyn. Like, I love I don't know. I love the book, and I absolutely couldn't have written a better one. I just also
I
didn't
come with
love
no
it.
solution, but some complaints.
Exactly. Story of my life. All right. So then from Iris, we learn that Bayron allied with Briallyn and Koshi,
Mhm.
spelling or pronunciation TBD. Um, because Iris told him. And then when that happened, I don't know if anyone else agrees. What the heck keeps happening with this thumbs up? Go away. I desperately wanted Iris to have a character arc like
Mhm.
Rhys did, where like you think he's a bad guy and then later on you end up loving him. But I was having a really hard time trusting him. Um, and I was just like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Were you thinking the same thing? I don't know what is happening with this thumbs up thing.
I don't know either. That is so funny. Yeah, I don't fully trust Eris yet, but I feel like I'm very
Eris.
close.
I said Iris, my bad.
I know I didn't want to correct you, but
Thanks.
yeah, I feel like I'm very close, especially I feel like he was dropping the hints. I think it was in the last book where he was saying to more like, "Oh, you don't
Or
know
the
the
third
full
book.
story." Yeah, the
Yeah.
third book. Um so in that sense, I'm very much on board with he's going to have this huge redemption. It's going to be a Rhys like story. But at the same time, I feel like there's things that are kind of inexcusable for him that couldn't make him fully like
Like
read.
what though? Because Reese did a lot of crappy things too.
That's true. The what though is like leaving more to die. But I also
That's true.
know
I did
no other way
forget
out
about
for
that for a
her. Yeah.
second. Well, but he says in his own like it was better for her. It's somehow. I don't
Yeah.
know how. I'm hoping that we get more of an
Also,
explanation in the next
killing
book.
Lucian's true love.
He didn't participate in that.
Did he not?
No. He got
Oh,
beat for it
okay.
because he didn't.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like we think that he does act really crappy at
Mhm.
first,
All right.
but
Well,
is
he
he?
he could be coming around.
I don't know.
But no, I don't fully trust him yet. But I could.
Yeah. There was just this one quote in the book. It it on page 98 it says, "But no one had been able to decide which was the bigger threat for them, Briallyn and Koshi or Baron's willingness to ally with them. While the Night Court had been trying to make the peace permanent, he had been doing his best to start another war."
Eek.
And that was part of I don't know, just like now I'm wondering if maybe his dad is going to be more of like I don't know. I don't understand how his dad could possibly be a bigger villain than Koshi considering he's like a god of death and trapped on an island. Like that's got to all of this has got to like unfold a little bit more in the
I
next
do
one, but
though. I think Baron would have made a better villain, especially in this story, because one, we already have grown to hate him. Like
yeah.
that is established, which I like that it's more like personal between the reader and the villain there. Because like
Yeah.
Briallyn, yeah, we know she was not a great queen and whatever, but we don't know all the really nasty sides of her, I guess. Like she
Mhm.
did them dirty, but it wasn't like Baron. Like Baron was personally dirty to all of them.
Exactly.
And
His own kids.
yeah,
Gosh,
and Koshi,
he's a monster.
yeah. And Koshi's like kind of like we've heard of him, but we haven't again, there's no connection to like, oh, he's the worst. Baron, he's the worst.
That's true.
Hmm.
I don't know. I would love to see that play out more in the
Yeah.
next book because I think it could be a big I'm hoping that Eris does have that arc like we're talking about.
Hmm.
I hope that it somehow redeems Lucian too from going from the band of exiles to being better.
Yeah.
um and like it would be a better villain because we already like he's like we already Sergio Moss has already laid the groundwork for us to hate him. So
Right.
it would be wouldn't have to
It's a
like
clean
invite anyone
transition.
else.
Sam
Yeah.
already got us hooked. Give us what we
I
want.
know. Give the people what they're asking for.
Mhm. What were your
Um
first impressions of Emery and Gwyn?
I didn't love Emery at first. I know.
Why
Just hear me out.
possibly?
Well, I've mentioned this before. I am very skeptical of new people being
Ooh,
introduced. So
yes.
I didn't it did not feel slimy at all. Like Ianthe, I was so like it felt slimy still. Like I didn't
Yeah.
think Emery was slimy or anything, but I just was unsure. I get it. She had been through a lot, but we didn't know that at the time, and she felt kind of like hard. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's like the best way to explain it. Just like a tough kind of
No,
character.
yeah, absolutely.
So like my initial like the way they introduced her, I was kind of like I don't hate her. I just didn't have like I wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, yay, another girl."
Hmm.
But I really liked Gwyn from the get-go, and I think that's just because of the personality that Sarah J. Maas gave her. She
Hmm.
was a lot more, I don't know, upbeat kind of.
Yeah.
So, and I love Emery now. And it took me a little bit longer to like Emery than it did for me to like Gwyn. I don't know.
I really liked Emery from the get go, but I think Sarah J. Maas was very intentional with having her be like this hard
Oh,
rock person, but
100%.
also very compassionate because of like the clothes and the,
Yeah.
just sweet things she was doing.
Yeah.
They introduced Emery, or she introduced Emery before this book, though, didn't she?
In last book is when
Yeah,
we yeah, because Cassian goes in there
and gets
thinking her
clothes
dad
for
was
all
still
the
there.
right, yeah, and
Yeah.
gets clothes for all the soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, technically Emery was introduced in the last book, and that was again last book was kind of
Hmm.
when I was like, eh. But we
Yeah.
also didn't know much of her story in the last book, and I think especially learning that, I was like, okay, that explains it. It
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense. Um, I don't know. I'm just putting myself like in the position of like I'm not Nesta or anyone, I'm myself, but I'm in the story.
Hmm.
If I had met Emery the way that they all did, I think I would have been like, okay. But I think I would have wanted to be friends with Gwen right away.
Same. Well, Emery intimidates me a little bit. I think if I met her in real life,
Mm,
I'd be intimidated. But if she
maybe
liked
that.
me, I would like her. Um, but Gwen seems like a very friendly, let's just be
Yeah,
friends. And so, yeah, more
exactly.
inviting for sure.
Yeah.
Good
Um,
way of putting it.
Thanks. You too. Did
Thanks.
you feel for Nesta at all reading in the
Yes.
beginning of this book?
So, as mad as I was at her, we've brought this up throughout the entire series, throughout all of our podcasts. Nesta is very relatable, I think, for both of us
Oh,
because we both
yes.
have these personalities of just like spiraling and then self destruction.
Yes.
And so
We're
it's
really
nice.
awesome.
I know we're great people to be friends with, but so I really liked that Nesta is somebody that didn't have a very clean healing process, and
Yeah.
I like that. We saw her in the end of ACOTAR. We're like, oh man, she was laying in bed with her sisters, and like
Yeah.
they were finally being a family, and we loved that. And then her dad came, and there was some kind of like a little bit of healing, and we loved that for her. And she was like Cassian, and they I'll find you in the next life. And it was so
Oh,
sweet. And then book one or the next book, I'm going to throw your present into the water. So rude. And
but
so
it's so real. Like,
it
I don't know. To
is.
me, I love reading like the main reason I don't like reading nonfiction is I want to escape like when I'm
Yeah.
reading. I like the world building of fantasy books, and I
Hmm.
like losing myself in the story and the characters and everything. And so I don't like reading about like things that happen because that's not fun.
Hmm.
But I love like Sarah J. Maas did such a great job at writing like a very human, which
Hmm.
like or a real life
Yeah.
healing process with
Yeah.
her. Like we got a taste for it at the end of ACOTAR, like with her, like you said, like sleeping in the same bed with her sisters and like starting to open up a little bit more. She saved Cassian. She's tried to shield him. Like she's willing to help. Like as simple as that is, like she's
Hmm.
doing all these things that are just not like the character up until that point.
Hmm.
And so we got a taste of it, being like, yes, like she's coming around. And then immediately, no, like shuts that right back down. She goes right back to being the same way, if not worse.
It's
And
worse. It's
it
so
would
much worse.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like we got a taste for it and we wanted it. So
Yeah.
she did such a great job at like giving us that teaser
Mm-hmm.
and then being like taking it away. So we know what we want now. And
Right.
then
You see
now
the
in this
potential.
book,
It's not like a spiral, like, this is never gonna get better,
exactly.
why are we reading about
Just
her?
this like
Yeah.
crabby old sister that everyone hates. Like, and then in this book, we then also get to like be with her in the healing process and like
Mhm.
understand in her mind everything. We learn more about like we don't know anything about their mom really. We learn way
Mm-mm.
more. I mean, not tons, but we still learn a lot more about their mom in this. We learn like her like why she feels the way that she did about her dad and everything
Mhm.
more like from her perspective.
Yeah.
And she just writes that mental health bit so well while keeping it
Mhm.
fantasy that that's why I think that ultimately this is why it's my favorite book. It's just that I felt like I was learning about myself
I know, me
reading this
too.
book. Like I was
Um,
like, man, I do the same things and maybe that's why.
I saw a thing that talked about, how authors can write a fictional character that is relatable, and they're like,
Mhm.
no matter how heroic that character is meant to be, no matter, how good you want them to be, you have to give them flaws, and that's the way that they'll
Mhm.
become relatable to people. So they can't
Yeah.
be like all good. They've got to have some kind of flaws. Boy, is Nesta relatable. That girl has flaws out the wazoo.
I think that's why Feyre didn't have as many as I would have liked.
Hmm.
She did. I mean, it took her a while to heal in the second book and everything. Like she and makes mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's
Yeah.
perfect by any means, but I can't relate to that poor girl who hunted for her family to provide for them and
Right.
was sacrificed everything for them as a child
Yeah.
and then became a heroess. You know what I mean? Like I just that's not real at all. So like it's fun to read about and I really liked her character and everything. It's just
Hmm.
I couldn't relate to it and I think yeah, I don't know. I keep
Yeah.
beating a dead
Yeah.
horse with
Yeah.
this. Like I just related so much to Nesta and I loved her character arc.
Yeah. For sure.
Um all right, with that, the House of Wind.
I love the House of
I love the House of Wind. I've never loved an inanimate object like this the way
Wind.
in any book.
Yeah.
So it's magical. And it seems to like Nesta from like the beginning, the get-go. Did you and hear me out? Did you see the house as like a mother figure to her?
No. No. I viewed the house as a boy to start off. So it
That's
could not
so
have been
weird.
a mother. I know, but like,
Why?
I don't know. To
That's
me,
so
I've
weird.
only ever owned male like animals. And so in my
But the house
mind,
isn't an animal. It's not a
no, I
pet.
know, but like, just in my mind, I was like, this is a boy.
I think the reason
This
I
house is a boy.
didn't is because for the same reason we all love Rhys and
Hmm.
Cassian and everything, it's a male written by a woman.
Sure.
So it knows what women like in the same way the house would draw her bath, get her some treats, get her a dirty book.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the house knew what she wanted. And so I think that's why for me it was like, this is clearly a female house because the house knows.
No, in my mind, I was like, this is a boy house. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why, but like, even as you say it, and it makes all the sense in the world, I'm like, that's great. I love that for you. But that house is a boy to me.
Well, to me, it I didn't get this at first. So I might be like jumping the gun a little bit here as far as like describing it as a mother figure, but towards the end of the book, especially learning more about Nessa's relationship with her mom, it felt like the house was a healing. Well, it obviously was an aspect to her healing, but it felt
Hmm.
like it was the healing that part of her to me.
Oh,
It
yeah.
that she didn't ever really have other than Feyre like have anyone to take care of her because she was the oldest and even
Mhm.
like their mom wasn't the greatest at doing that. Their dad never did it, but this house has always been there for her. It always took care of her
Yeah.
and stuff. So it was not initially in this part of the book, but it after reading it, it I kind of felt like it had like a mother type presence to it
Sure.
for her. Like that's what she needed it to be, and
Yeah.
that's what it was.
I loved the scene where it got her a piece of cake. To me,
I know,
that's like just so
woman.
sweet.
So if you could have your own magical house,
Hmm.
what would it look like and where would it be? Now I know
I'll
yours
tell
would
you
be a
right
boy.
now. um, yes, mine would probably be a boy house. But have you ever seen? I don't remember where it's from or how I saw it, but it was like a tiny little thing that said, "I just wish to be a small person living in a mushroom making stew deep in the woods," and that's all I really want in life ever. If I could trade it all for that, that's what I want. So my house would be a tiny mushroom in the woods with like a little cauldron where I could make stew, and also it would bring me cake, and that's all I want.
That's mine, honestly. I don't want anything more than the House of Wind. That is like that
So,
the way it interprets or like everything she
mhm,
needs, and it's just, and I mean, like even to the point of I forgot to mention it when we were talking about, or just a couple seconds ago, but like when the Nesta first got there, she asked the house for wine and it gave her
mhm.
water. Like even the house knew her better than she knew herself. I need a house that can take care of me better than I can
Chips
take care of
house,
myself.
chips, and it's
It gives
like
me fruit.
freaking yeah.
Like I said,
I think
chips.
that'd make me mad, but I get it.
It would make me, absolutely would make me mad. But in the
Mhm.
long run, I'd look back and be like, like at the end of a movie when they're walking away and they turn around like, I'll miss this place. Like in the long run, I'd be like putting my hand on the like a door frame, being like, you knew, you
You
you knew.
got me.
It would also, I think, I I know I explained not, or it was the House of Wind where
Mhm.
Rhys initially took Feyre the first time she went to the Night Court, right? Or well, that
No.
was even a different, no, that was a different place.
Yeah. So, mind you, mark that also, they have 4 places.
Yes.
4 places.
Or but I picture I the only reason I bring that up is because I picture still this house the same way I kind of pictured wherever that was.
Mhm.
Very modern, um, sleek lines, like dark.
No, this is fantasy.
I
It
know, this is
is
very fantasy.
it is cottage, it is stone and limestone and moss
That's
and
how I picture the spring court, not night court. Night court is innovative. Valaris is innovative.
however, I did want to talk about this. I did not know that the library was attached to the House of Wind.
Mhm.
So I could not grasp where
How she
Nesta was
just
going
went.
and how she's
Yeah.
getting there. Yeah, because they're like, hey, if you want to leave, go down these 1,000 step or not the 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
First of all, you couldn't even make it 300 steps your first round. Like, no offense, but pathetic. I think it was
She
300.
had been like not eating and only drinking alcohol for months.
I'm telling you right now,
I'm telling
I
you
could
right
do
now,
more than
Ellie,
300 if, even
in
in
your
that state.
current state, absolutely not. And that is the equivalent of how Nesta was feeling.
No, oh, like my sickness. I
Yes.
was like, man, I'm strong. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. But I did go do a 5K this morning. I walked it. But all that to say, 10,000 steps right there.
I think that's harder than you think.
I don't think
Just in the
it's
same way
going
that
downstairs.
I'm just saying there's 10,000 of them. That is a lot.
Yeah, but she only did 300. All I'm saying is,
Well, eventually
pardon
you're going to
me.
have to go back up.
Hold on. I'm back. My throat was really losing it there.
I
All
don't know.
I'm
I just
saying is
think
I could have
it's
done
more
more
than
than
you.
300. I bet you try one, I could have done at least 1,000. Especially going down, I could have
Okay.
done all 10. Honestly, going downstairs.
I just think you're not giving her enough credit for the like
No, what I
physical state that
will
she was
give her
in.
credit for is every time she was making that hike to go down, she made the hike to go back up. Like, it's crazy
Yeah,
to me that she was so tired she couldn't continue to go down anymore. So then she turned around and went back up. That's like 10 times as hard as going upstairs.
that's true. Wait, it is
So,
upstairs.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, like getting tired from going downstairs and then being like, now I'm just going to go back up. That's horrible.
Yeah. I agree. I do agree on that. And I think that's why I'm sure she probably could have made it more, but she knew that she would have to go back up eventually. So that's
Mhm.
why she's like, well, I'm tired now. There's no way I'm going to be able to keep going.
Yeah, good for her for knowing herself because
Yeah.
I would have absolutely expended all energy to prove you wrong
just
and then gotten to, like,
just
stairs
stayed down there.
5,000 and then just slept there overnight because I couldn't go back up.
And then, I would have been like, you know what? Eventually Cassian's going to have to realize that I'm somewhere and come looking for me.
I know.
And speaking of Cassian, so because their training thus far has been at one of the Illyrian camps,
Mhm.
and I kind of loved that Nesta just sat on the rock, and she said, "I can't." Oh, it was something like, Cassian's like, "You said you agreed to this. You have to train." She goes, "I agreed to train. I didn't agree to participate," or something like it.
Honestly, what a little brat, and the fact that she was, like, so
Well, that
willing
was
to
a bratty.
embarrass him in front of everyone, I was so mad. I was so
That was
mad.
a bratty comment, but I kind of liked that she was just not participating. Like, I don't know. I
No,
kinda liked it.
little brat.
But
I
he
would be so mad.
I'd be mad if I was Cassian, but as a reader, I thought it was funny.
My
Um,
sister is really stubborn, and that just reminds me
I
of, like,
think I'm
something
really
she would
stubborn
have
too.
done. Yeah, you are. But that would have reminded me of something she would have done in the past when, like, we were supposed to be working on something together. She would, like,
Mhm.
not saying she ever did this, but it just reminds me of something she would do is just to sit there and be like, "I said I'd be here. I didn't say I'd do anything." Ugh, I'm mad already.
Well, you have a more personal tie to it. Maybe I like it because it's something that I would do.
There you
I
go.
don't know, but I just like that, and then Cassian ultimately realized, though, that she wasn't it's not because she was just trying to be annoying. She
Mhm,
didn't wanna be vulnerable in front of the Illyrian warriors, and
mhm,
she knew she was weak. So,
right.
she's like, "Why learn in front of people?" Which, truthfully, I absolutely understand. I
I
would
do
not
too.
wanna learn
But
something
then
in
say
front of
that. That's such
well,
an easy, like, "Hey,
hey,
Cass, I don't wanna do this in front of everyone."
this is
Easy.
part of the healing journey, Ellie.
I get it.
We
I would
talk
probably
I
do the
think
same. I
I
would just be
had
pissy, but
you had way more empathy for Feyre than I did, and I feel like this is how I thought,
mhm.
like, I'm like, "Get over it." And you're like, "But wait, hold on." This is I get Ness my girl, I get her.
Like, girl.
But anyways, Cassian realizes on his own. So
Okay.
he moves their training to the rooftop of the House of Wind
Mhm.
instead of in front of everyone. Um, have you I guess we kind of already talked about this. Have you ever refused to do something because you didn't want to be embarrassed?
Hmm.
I have.
Tell me
I have
about it.
refused to do many things. My personality is I don't like to do something if
Mhm,
I know I'm not gonna be good at it,
mhm,
or I take that back. It's not that I don't like to do it. I like to be really good at everything right away. I
mhm,
don't and I that's super unrealistic, and I understand how crazy that sounds.
mhm.
But if I'm not good at something, if it's gonna be in front of every other people, I don't really want to look dumb
Yeah,
in the process of, like, learning how to do it. I'd
yeah.
rather learn privately, and then if I'm gonna do it in front of people, like, already kinda know.
I feel like that's the
So
story with, like, everyone in the world. Like, no
well,
one wants to be embarrassed or look dumb.
yes, I get that, but I also, like, will just flat out not do anything. So, for example,
You'll sit on the rock.
I I played soccer growing up. I was pretty good, all things considered, for being, like, 11,
Mhm,
and then I stopped playing when I was, like, 12, I
mhm,
think, 13. So I stopped playing at the really transitional point of soccer where it's like separates the girls who are like really good, want to play competitively, and the girls who just will play for high school or something.
mhm.
Um, and I started cheering, whatever. Well, what I think sophomore or junior year of high school, I decided I wanted to play soccer again on the high school team, and I made
You
it.
did? You did?
Well, I'm not there yet. I made the team. But I realized that I was not nearly as good as everyone because it had been a while since I played.
Mhm.
I didn't wanna look stupid, so I quit before the season started
Makes
because
sense
I
to
didn't
me.
want to be like have my friends come to games and see me sitting on the bench and not starting, which is
Oh,
so dumb. Like looking back at it, but I was so embarrassed of not being a starter for my first year
yeah.
playing soccer in years with all these other girls that not only played competitively with high school, but that have
Mhm.
just kept doing it.
Yeah.
So, yes,
Uh,
I do that
it's
often.
it's hard for me to think like I'm pretty oh, I know. So I'm pretty down to try anything at least once. Um so I don't necessarily get embarrassed of like sports. Like I know I'm not good, but I'll just preface and be like I've never done this and I'm not good. And
Yeah.
pretty goes over with the crowd pretty well. Um,
That
but
usually
but I
sets the
like
tone.
trying a bunch of different things. Like trail running was my most recent like endeavor and that's gone really badly so far. I've twisted
I
both
was about to say, I
ankles.
thought you were gonna say really well. I'm like, I
No,
feel like you only get hurt.
I do, but I have really weak ankles. But and I did that in front of everyone, so that was fabulous. But it's like at the end of the day, whatever. Like okay. However, I will say the one thing that I will not try because I know I'm just really bad and that it really is embarrassing is dancing. Any form of dancing.
Mm.
I am embarrassed. I have rhythm. I play music my entire life, multiple instruments. I sing. It's great. Cannot move my body for the life of me. It doesn't look good. It's not good. And so like any like prom or like I don't know, homecoming or whatever,
Mm.
I was so thankful because we went to a private Christian school that it was like there's no dancing allowed. It was just a banquet basically. Like we watched talent shows or some kind of entertainment
And ate dinner. It
and
was
ate
dumb.
dinner. It was dumb. But I was so glad there wasn't dancing because I couldn't possibly dance. And then
Not
even at my
I.
own wedding, I ended it early because I was like, I'd really rather not dance in front of anybody ever, ever. And so we left so early.
I remember that about your wedding, actually.
Yeah. It
But
was
you danced at my wedding.
because Grant's a dancer. And so then I just hold on to his hand and then
I do
just,
think it's funny how you and I are so close and we married people that are like the other.
yeah.
Like me, I at any function, me and Grant will dance and you and Zeke
Melissa
will hang out.
begs to dance at any function. She literally at your wedding, you were like, I just want to get through all this so we can start dancing. And I
I
was
had to
like,
keep everything
"Ugh,
as short as
that would
possible so that
never be me.
the most amount of time to dance. It's just so fun. I like any all of my close friends or family. It's almost like a I don't want to butcher this reference, but like a Beyonce Sasha Fierce thing. I have an alter ego when I start
Yes, you do.
dancing because most of the time it's at weddings. So people literally will be like, "Oh, can't wait to see wedding Melissa." Like that's
I
what
live
I've
for
coined
wedding
the term,
Melissa. Yeah.
and I am so grateful that at least one of my children I've birthed our wedding
Is a little
Holland
dancer.
exists. Yeah, she loves dancing. That's how we get her like tire her out before bed at night.
Yeah.
We play Just Dance
Yeah.
because she loves it.
I love that. I remember we would
But
do the Evening of Dreams, which was a special needs
oh,
prom,
it was the
and we would go
best.
as dates. It was so much fun. And I always felt so bad for my date because I was like, I really don't want to dance. But I was like, I'll try my best. And it was not good. I remember
No
you
one
always had to
cares.
be there. I know no one cares, but I care. This is the whole point is like,
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed. It doesn't look good. I'm fully aware of that.
yeah.
So,
Well, anyways, back I could get off on tangents so easily. Um, I love that he moved it for her. And I thought it was sweet, but I'm glad that she at least actually by refusing though to train, that's how she met Emery initially because she's like, I'm not doing this. So instead of sitting on the rock because it was cold, she
mhm.
went inside
Right.
and she started talking to Emery and
Yeah,
got
I
to
remember
at
that.
least that's like the initial introduction.
Mhm.
Um, but I just thought, I don't know. I love Rhys, but I really love Cassian. I think
Yeah.
I just love that he is everything that Rhys is as far as like the sweet, like thinking ahead,
Mhm.
like caring so deeply about his other person in the same way,
Mhm.
all of that. But he's funny.
He is.
I like that his character has humor,
Yeah.
and that bodes very well for me. So,
I I'm still a bigger Reese fan as much as I love Cassian. Cassian's like just
yeah.
like 0.0001 below Reese for me. But the thing that tips it over for Reese is he is so much more powerful and that in my
Yeah,
eyes is like, I like that.
that's true.
Hmm.
I don't know. I compare I compare them a lot in my head, way more than I should about fictional
It's
characters.
your Roman Empire. I get it.
It is this is my Roman Empire is Rhys and Cassian. um, but I go back and forth between which one I think I'd like more. I
Hmm.
really like both of them, but I think I almost always land on Cassian because of two things: the humor, but then also he has longer hair, and that just does it for me. Like I like long hair, so
That's fair. I also
those are the
like long
two.
hair. So,
Yeah,
hmm
I don't care so much about like muscular like figures as
hmm
like I'm not gonna I won't don't hate it, but that's not like anything that I'm like, oh, I'm looking for that. But I think that also just kind of helps too.
yeah. Yeah, he in my mind looked somewhat different but similar to Jason Momoa, and
Yes,
that was not a hard thing to picture
exactly.
going
That is
forward.
with
So,
tattoos.
what did you think of Nesta? Or yeah, what did you think of what Nesta did for Gwen when Gwen couldn't find the book she was looking for?
Oh, I loved it.
It was like her
Um,
little redemption arc,
well, it's
just
the
a
beginning of
little.
it. Just
Yeah,
no, it's the beginning of this whole book is her redemption arc. Like this is
I
just the
know.
beginning of it. But I thought it was sweet because this is a. I just like that we're starting to see her do more for other like think about other
Hmm.
people. And so she saw like how distraught Gwen was looking for it and she tried to find it but couldn't and then later was like, "Oh my gosh, I have a magic house. I'll just ask the house." And the house gave her the book. And then she
Hmm.
snuck into Meryl's office to put it back. Um and then even like kind of took some crap from Meryl for her too. So I just thought like
Yeah.
I did think that I had a hard time. The only thing I had a hard time with was that she was not easily, but it seemed like she was so easily doing things like that for Emery and Gwen throughout
But
this
not
book.
for her family
But
and for
yeah,
her.
with not with
Yeah.
her family. And I get it, there's more to heal, but I think that was a little it was I think I would have enjoyed if she had done both at the
No,
same
but
time.
no, because in this sense, I am Nesta here. I get this part because you have a history with all those people, and they've already seen the bad side of you, so you're already tainted to them. And it's like
Yeah,
to get along with them, you're gonna have to
that's
go
true.
back and apologize for a lot of stuff, and that's
And you
stupid.
don't
And I
want to do
wouldn't want
that.
to do that. Yeah, because I'd be
Yeah,
too
that's
prideful.
true.
But with Emery and Gwyn, it's brand new. They don't know anything, and she even says in the end, like you didn't know anything about me,
Yeah, that's
and so
true.
that's why it's easier to make these new friends and have this blank canvas of I'm actually a really nice person. You're
Yeah.
just getting to
And
know
I get
me.
that. I do. I really get that and I like it
Uh-huh.
and I agree with all of that. I just think I would have liked to see
Yeah.
her try a little bit harder with her family, but like you said, like I get it. It's a lot easier to like just start from a fresh start than have to
Yeah.
like heal even more and go back through all the crap that you've
Exactly.
done.
Yeah.
Um but I
Um.
loved the idea that Nesta had about inviting the priestesses to
Mhm.
train with her and Cassian. Um because she wanted to help them overcome all of the memories that still haunt them.
Yeah.
What were your feelings about this plan? And then again, did you feel differently or more so for Nesta at this point?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I liked how Rhys took care of the priestesses and like all that they went through. We have respect
Mhm.
for that. But I did not connect with the priestesses too much, and so I didn't really care for this. I did
I
like
don't
the
think you
idea that
needed to
they would.
connect with them though. Are you talking about Gwen specifically or just the rest
No,
of
no,
them?
no. The rest of them. I did
Okay.
connect with Gwyn and I liked her, but the rest of them I'm just kind of like like but I did like that it was I felt like it
I feel
gave
like this was
Nesta
more
some
about
depth.
Nesta. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say all of this felt I didn't necessarily connect with the priestesses either,
Mhm.
but I for me this was like
But a
again
lot of it
Nesta.
moving forward was, oh, the priestesses weren't coming and we were so worried that like they didn't want any part of this and then they trickled it. Like we'll go over that next episode, but I was
No, we can
like,
talk
I
about
don't
it here.
really care. Like
I
I'm
know,
happy
but
Nesta's growing, but grow with
I
your
f
friends, I
this
guess.
initial thought of this plan first off, I'm just all about
Mhm.
women being able to take care of themselves. I think it's great that to know how to defend yourself if needed.
Yeah.
So I that's a personal thing, and I think that's probably why I liked this a
Yeah.
little bit more. But
Mhm.
I think for me, this was more about again, just the fact that like we're starting to see Nesta think about other people. It's
Mm-hmm.
not all about her and all about like her self-loathing and her hurts and what her dad did or
Mm-hmm.
didn't do. You know, like it's not it's she's starting to move past all that now
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, enough to where she's aware of how other people feel, because I feel like up until this point it seemed like not she either wasn't aware and or didn't give two craps about Feyre. Like, and I know there's still their family, there's a lot more, like again, I get it. It's just that's all we only really saw her. She didn't want to help. She knew what was at stake with the
Yeah.
war and she didn't want to help. You know, like it just was
So selfish to ugh.
yeah.
I know she redeems herself, but I can we really get over that? Because
I can
that's so
absolutely.
selfish to me.
I can. I
Good
can
for
because of
you.
this book. Without this book, probably not, but I
Yeah.
can.
I
I
know
don't
a
know. So
lot
I
of
just
people
liked.
truly hate this book still, and they're like, "I'm just not a
Uh,
Nesta fan. I won't get over that." And I absolutely can see it both ways.
I mean, I can understand it. I just don't agree.
Yeah.
But, anyways, I just liked that. I liked that Cassian was again all about, because Cassian, Azriel, and Rhys are like one of the only people that want the Illyrian women to learn how to fight and everything, like, and so Cassian was all about this, and
Hmm.
Clotho was like sure, but like just fair warning, I don't think any of them are going to want to. But
Yeah.
I just like that it was the thought that counts, quite literally, for you
Yeah, it
for
was.
me. um
Okay.
what did you
So,
think? Yeah, go
are
ahead.
you gonna ask me? Okay. Elaine comes to visit Nesta and to tell her that she and Feyre still care about her, but Nesta makes her leave in tears. Did this surprise you?
It did, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know Nesta's mad at the world and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with a lot, but she's never like been anything but protective of
Mm-hmm.
Elaine. And so in this book we start to see her kind of nasty towards her, and
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised by that because that's just not what we've seen from Nesta until this
I
point.
know. Same here. It kind of surprised me, but on the same note, it really didn't. And that brings me back to that point I made of in order to well, both things I kind of get. In order to reconcile with Elaine or like just be nice to Elaine, like there has to be that opening of like, hey, I was wrong and, apologizing to
Yeah.
the whole crew. But more than that, the book talks about how Elaine and Feyre started being more buddy buddy and
Yeah,
closer together, which means that Elaine left Nesta to basically choose Feyre, and that would hurt my feelings so badly if like
that's
I'm
true.
the
I
one who
forgot about that.
protected you, I'm the one who has guarded you your entire life, like we made this Fae transition together, and now like Feyre just seems cooler and nicer, and you want to choose
To
her.
be fair, it's not, I could see, I understand from Nessa's point of view. That's kind of what it seems like, but never to defend Elaine a little bit. It's not that she chose Feyre.
Mhm.
Feyre was there. Nesta
Oh,
left.
absolutely, absolutely.
So,
No,
but
it's Nesta's
from
fault, but I
yeah,
can also see, like, I stuck my neck out for you time and time again, and then when things got hard, like, you went to the other sister, and also that Nesta and Feyre don't really get along, that would make
yeah,
me so mad, and then just being honest, Nesta's probably a little bit jealous of Feyre because she has her mate, she has her kingdom, she
yeah.
has everything she could have ever wanted, she's so happy, and then
And
now
then
she
now
has
she
a
has
sister.
Elaine. Yeah,
Exactly. So,
yeah.
I would not
I
be
get it.
happy.
I do get it, and I am Nesta a lot of the time, so like
Mhm.
I understand the thought process and stuff, but I just was still surprised
Yeah.
by this, just because nothing had ever made
Mhm.
Nesta do anything other than protect Elaine before.
Mhm.
And so find like something happened that changed that for her.
Yeah.
So that was the big for me, that was like, oh,
Yeah.
shocking.
I truly, truly, truly loved though the progression of her going down those stairs because every time she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go drink my sorrows away," she couldn't
Instead of
make
drinking, yes.
yeah.
Well, instead of drinking, she or in sleeping around or whatever, she just was like fine. Like she gets so worked up, she just goes to the stairs. So after this one, she goes down.
A
She makes it the
thousand
farthest. She makes it to 1,000,
out
and
of
then
10.
a tenth of the way there. And then when she gets back to the top,
Mm.
Cassian's waiting for her because he knew she was trying to go down the stairs again.
Yeah. This is their first bit of
And
romance, so that was really fun.
Well, there's been that tension, at least until this point, but then this is when it finally, like, the culmination of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when she reaches the top of the stairs, Cassian's waiting for her, and we start to see a little bit of action there. What did you think of Nesta's comment when she said that he was quick off the mark?
I genuinely was like, what the heck does that mean? I've never heard anyone say that. Like, I obviously
But you
context,
knew what
like,
it implied.
context, yeah, I knew what it meant, but I was like, who says that? That is such a
That
weird
was
phrase.
ballsy.
I
I
she's that hurt,
loved
she's that upset, and then wants to hurt him more. I feel like
she
that's a
wasn't
quick way to do it.
yeah, I don't know. She wasn't upset in that moment. It's just I don't know. I guess I just relate with this so much. She just is like that's who she is. She says things without thinking.
Mhm.
She is a little bit vindictive, kind of like I'm really talking myself up here. But like I can relate with saying something before you like think about it, and even if like the intention is to be a little bit mean, immediately regretting it. And I know that that's not we don't necessarily see that part of her initially after this comment,
Mhm.
but I would like to think that she said that, but then went in her room and was like, "Ugh,
Ew.
I should have said something different, or I
Yeah.
shouldn't have commented on it or whatever."
Yeah.
And because that's how I could see myself saying the exact same thing in that moment, but then like a couple minutes later being like,
Mhm.
"Gah, Melissa, why do you do this?" So,
Yeah.
anyways, I just thought it was hilarious because I
Yeah.
was not expecting it at all. Well, I wasn't expecting that to happen in general,
Yeah.
but then I wasn't expecting her to comment on it. Generally, I feel like in those situations, it's like, "Oh no, it's fine." No, Nesta's like, "Well,
No.
that sucks," and then just
Pass.
walks away. Like,
Yeah.
um, cool. So then the dead trove
Mhm.
that's introduced in
Mhm.
this book. So it consists of three things. It's the harp, the mask, and the crown.
Oh, good memory.
The the mask can raise an army from the dead, the harp can open doors and portals to other dimensions, and then whoever wears the crown can like manipulate, bend anyone to their will.
Mm.
Um I mean obviously major foreshadowing when this is introduced, but what what did you think? Like how did you think that was going to like tie in other than the fact that like okay, they're going to have to find these? Like
Again, I didn't think Briallyn was that big of a threat, but I was like, I guess those together would be a big threat if she had them and had that much of a
mhm.
vendetta against Nesta or Feyre and Rhys or just the Night Court in general. Um, so definitely was
I
on
think
board with you gotta get those first.
Sarah J. Maas did a good job introducing. Obviously, everything she does is good, but she did a good job introducing these three things because initially hearing about them, I would have been like, why didn't they look for these in the last book?
That's
But
kind of my thought, yeah.
well, but they talk about it. I'm pretty sure all of them were kind of like, wait, those are real. Like I think they all kind of thought it was like not like an urban legend, but kinda.
Mhm.
And then Amryn was like, no, like that's not like we these are real, like we need to get these before she
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Um because I think if it hadn't have been introduced that way, I would have same thing. I would have been like, obviously these would have been significantly
Yeah.
more helpful to help with
Which one
Hybern.
which one of those would you want the most?
Ooh.
The mask raises the army of the dead, the harp
No, I don't want that
opens
one.
doors and portals, and the crown,
Probably
can
the
bend
crown.
anyone. You're
Yeah,
evil.
I am. Well, I think I would want the harp if it could. I don't necessarily need to go to other dimensions. If it's just other places, I
Mhm.
would say harp because I hate flying. So it would be an easy way to travel
Well,
and cheap.
I'll say the harp is to other places as well, not
Yeah.
just dimensions.
But if it's I mean, if we're gonna get technical and I can only go other dimensions, I'd rather have the crown.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'd probably want the crown as well. That just seems the
The
most
crown
like
or the harp.
no, the crown.
Oh, okay.
Because that just seems like the most useful out of all of these. But I do agree with you. I hate flying as well. We've talked about this multiple times. It's the worst thing ever. We should not be doing it. But
If we were intended to fly, we would have had God would have given us the ability to. So that's my
and
I
like he
firmly
kind
stand
of
in that
did, but
position. No, our physical bodies, the ability to. I would be able to stand up and shoot into the air if I was intended to fly.
But yeah, like the portal would be great if I could leave work and just be at home.
Yeah, that
could have really
makes
saved
sense.
me a fettuccine alfredo fiasco had I been able to catch Grant in the act.
Also though, in this conversation, my least favorite thing of this entire book happened.
My least favorite thing of all of these books.
Yes, but like this entire this entire storyline, my least favorite thing.
Yeah.
They're talking about how they can summon it, like figure out where this all is, and Amren says like, "Oh,
bomb.
they're those who are made." So she's but like is only really talking to Elaine and Nesta,
Mm-hmm.
and then Nesta's like, "Wait, but like Feyre can help too," and that's when Feyre's like, "Well, I could, but I'm trying." But except I'm pregnant and I want to protect the baby or whatever. And I rolled my eyes so hard. So
my
hard.
eyes went to my brains because I was done.
I'm like, and I mean, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
They were hinting it way too much. And even in A Frost and Starlight, like they were hinting at it like way too much and everything. I knew it was coming. I just didn't want it to, and then it happened. I was hoping I was reading into it too much. I wasn't.
No,
I just because this is my least. I actually like Feyre though. Throughout all of this, I will say she remains pretty consistent. But this is my least favorite book of Rhys.
No, it's everybody's least favorite. But here's the thing,
because he gets so like, and I get it. But like annoyingly protective. There's a line like he's already protective and everything, and I get that, and it's cute to some extent. But like the fact that he doesn't even like Cassian and Azriel getting too close to her and like breathing on her. He's like shielding her the whole time from no one. I'm like, that was, and I'm glad that Feyre was at least like, yeah, this is
gotta back off.
like, yeah. But I don't know. It just was. It was too much. My least favorite side of Rhys. I even liked villain Rhys more than I liked this Rhys.
Absolutely. But we also have to recognize, and I said I would talk about this like so many podcasts ago. I said when we get to Court of Silver Flames, like I'll bring this back up. Where else would his character go? It couldn't be a perfect pregnancy because there would be no story with it. I mean, she could have maybe written something else. I mean, I just think like to go along with the pregnancy, but like if you wanted any drama, I think the story would be
exactly the same without it. But I understand. I understand why she had to add it in there because otherwise everyone would be like, "Where's Rhys and Feyre?"
Well, she wrote like, why is this into a corner, honestly, with their characters and how like they're both the most emotionally intelligent. They're both like physically perfect for each other. They're mated. They're 100% like they can talk to each other in their brains. They're just 100% on par. She wrote herself into a corner. They don't have flaws is what she did to them. And so I feel like why everyone hates this is because she wrote so well that they didn't have these crazy flaws, that when he started to have these flaws, everyone was like, this isn't my Rhys. This isn't what I signed up for.
That's true. I want someone perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, then at the end of these chapters, Gwyn does eventually sign up for training after watching Cassian show Nesta how to throw a punch in the library. I personally liked the storyline that was being written about Nesta and her training more than the conflict that was being foreshadowed with Briallyn. What were your thoughts on that?
Okay, this is not the part where she like did a full demonstration. She just this is where Cassian, because wasn't she like doing like all these moves?
So Clotho calls Cassian down because she's like, you need to tell Feyre to stop training in the library.
Okay.
But then he gets down there and she's like, show me how to throw a punch. And then so it's like a mini lesson that they do. And then she's like, fine, I'll stop. And then he was like, that's too easy, but then realizes that he sees everyone watching them.
Okay. 1, Nesta, not Feyre. 2.
Did I say Feyre?
You did.
I meant Nesta, my bad.
This gave me so much ick. I'm sorry. But I was like, that's embarrassing. Like, that's so embarrassing to just be sitting in the middle of a library. That's so embarrassing.
You know what?
I hate it.
It did for me too, until me and Cassian had the realization at the same time of what she was doing. Then I was like, oh, my girl. But I agree too. But I'm like,
No.
she's training in the library. I'm like, first off, I get it. She's training more than she was, but like,
Yeah.
she still doesn't like it that much. Why is she practicing like
Yeah.
after hours? And then it all made sense, and I liked it. But just what I'm asking here is more like the storyline in general, like her Gwyn starting to sign up, like she's starting to feel better physically about herself. You can
Yeah.
tell like she's getting muscle, like her and Cass, this is like the romance between them is happening and all this. I just liked this
Mm-hmm.
storyline way more than anything that was developing with Briallyn. Like anytime they talk about the dead Trove or
Yeah.
Cassian had to meet with whatever, like I
Yeah.
was like, ugh,
Care for
I
that.
wanted to skip to the next part where Nesta and him were
Yeah.
training. Like,
No, absolutely the same.
and
And
the
that's
Valkyrie, they'd already like kind of introduced the Valkyries,
I
the
didn't care for the
concept of them.
Valkyrie. Did you like that?
What? I did. I
In
already
my
said though,
mind,
I'm all about like female, like women being able to like fight for
yes.
themselves though.
But in
So
my
I think
mind, I pictured like the Valkyrie and Thor, like those movies,
I
and I did
did.
not care for those people either. So all of that tied together, I was like, okay.
Well, I
Also,
liked that.
we'll get into it next episode when we read about it. I have thoughts for all that. More thoughts.
I think I liked the Valkyries in Thor, and that's so it was really easy for me
Okay.
to imagine them too because of
Yeah.
that. So,
Ooh, that makes me want to
um,
watch a Marvel movie. After we get off, that's what I'm doing.
sounds good. I'm glad our little conversation here can inspire you to watch Disney. Um, but I don't know. I loved where this was headed.
Yeah,
This aspect of it
it
at
has
least.
so much potential. This is a fun book. I really
Oh,
enjoyed this one.
such a fun
But
book.
it is very spicy, just a full heads up.
It is.
I didn't tell Melissa. Okay, I
Yeah.
think we might have brought this up before, but I'll bring it up again so everyone can know my anger at you. Um,
My
I
anger at
never,
me.
yeah. So like Melissa and I watch Game of Thrones together. We watch Outlander together. We watch stuff that has like pretty spicy scenes and like, you know, whatever. I'm not watching it for the spice necessarily, but like it just goes to show we've it is part of our lives,
I'm
whatever.
of the world. I've seen things.
Yeah. So she asked me, like, oh, what book should I read? And I said, A Court of Thorns and Roses. That series is great. Tell me why I get a text. Why wouldn't you warn me how much spice there was in this? Why would I?
Okay, you're not even telling the full story. Let me
The full
put
story is not my
context.
business. That's not my business. My business is I told you this book and like you and I are on the same page. Why would I tell you any of this?
I pulled a Nesta here. Okay. The context around this and why I sent that was because I put my foot in my mouth again, recommending things before I read them. I'm having a conversation with one of my sister-in-laws who is a pastor at a church. And in this conversation, she's talking about how she loves reading, but she's having a hard time finding like good books that aren't spicy. Like she likes the
Whoops.
storylines, but she doesn't like the spice.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, oh, convenient. My friend, best friend in the world, recommended this
Who
book
I
series to
trust so
me
much,
that I
with
trust with my
life.
life. Recommended this book series to me like just a couple weeks ago, and she didn't say anything. You should read these ones. She said it's the best series she's ever read in her life. So it is on me for not reading them first before
That's
recommending
on
them.
you.
I know, but that's why I got mad at you, because I was like, oh hey, how's that book series going? She's like, oh, I loved the story, but it
A
was a
little
little
spicy.
spicy.
It's like
And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Because it was just the conversation that I even recommended it was talking about
and I get
good
this
books
like
without spice.
all
And I'm like,
caps. I get this all caps text. Why didn't you tell me? Why would I tell you? That has nothing to do with me. This is just my
it was all me. I was mad at myself, but I put the blame on you for not telling me.
It's okay. Yeah, it's
That is the only
fine.
reason I texted you like that, though.
All right. Well, now you all
Anyways,
know. You all know the dynamic.
we do. And that's the first 24 chapters. Next week we're gonna be taking a break from this though, because next Monday is October 30th.
was like, why are we taking a break? What are you saying about?
We're doing a spooky spectacular episode.
Yes.
So we will not be going over Court of Thorns and Roses next week, but Court of Silver Flames next week. But after the Halloween week, we'll be picking back up with part 2 of this series, and then part 3, finishing it off. But I'm excited. Next week we are going to talk about spooky stories.
Yes, and we're
some come from books, and we are dressing up. And Ellie doesn't. We know Ellie's gonna be Coraline. Yeah. Ellie does not know what I'm gonna be, and I'm excited to shock you all.
I'm so excited.
Honestly, I wasn't even really gonna dress up this year, but then I last minute I saw something that I was just so inspired by on TikTok, and I ordered everything on Amazon right away. And so I'm so excited.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's that on that. If you're listening, please leave us a rating and comment on what is it, Apple Podcasts?
Apple Podcasts, yeah. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram.
Instagram's getting fun. We are doing a lot of reels.
Funny reels, yeah.
Those are taking off. It's been really fun.
I didn't think that I would like making reels as much as I do, but
oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
It's unlocked something in me. It's a passion that I didn't know was there.
Content creator?
Absolutely not. But do I have a weird amount of animated scenes just in the back of my brain that I can recycle always? Yes. Oh Did I ever think that would benefit me as an adult? No. So I'm very surprised.
Okay. Also, our next book, we might have mentioned that it was Fourth Wing, but it is not. Prank. It is going to be the Caraval series, and it's an awesome series. Melissa hasn't read it yet, so we get her raw emotions on all of it. I have, so you get my jaded emotions on all of it. And
great.
We will be in person recording these, so it's going to be so much fun.
Yes, I'm excited. Ellie is going to be coming to me, and we are going to be recording a few episodes in person at my husband's studio. And it's going to be very fun.
Yeah. So if you have not or if you don't own those books or haven't read them, now is the time. We're giving
you still
2
have
weeks of advance.
We're giving 4 weeks.
4-ish weeks of advance. So now's the time. Yes. Those books are amazing, though. I absolutely love them. They're YA, I think, but still good.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great rest of your week. Or a good week. I guess it's Monday when these are coming out. And we will see you next week on the podcast.
Bye.